Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Man, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, both on assignment. I still think Charles is out there somewhere in Prairie View. He says he's covering the SWAC soccer tournament. That's what he told me, but I haven't had a report yet. I'm still working on it. Then you got Mike Washington. He's out there because it's Prairie View homecoming. They say he's training because he got to do his mile around the school that he does every year, and it's getting tougher every year, so he's out to train a little bit. At least that's what he told me. With that, I have, man, a special. We're going to go in a little bit on the give some love to the HBCU Division II programs this week as we get the insight, CIAA. We got the expert, extraordinaire, fighting Gaithers, as they like to say around this parts. Those that know, and those that don't know, don't know. But Stephen Gaither doing all things HBCU Gameday founder. He big timer now, but he showed us a little love. And it's his birthday. The man's going to give us some time on his birthday. Happy birthday, Stephen Gaither.
Doc, I'm flattered. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the love. Thanks for inviting me on. Always excited to come and chat with you guys. I'm always watching even when I'm not on. So it's fun to be on whenever I get a chance to.
Appreciate him. We appreciate you when you jump on there and you do your chats and get in there and you mix it up a little bit. You give us some information, make sure that we do our homework. So I like it. You stay true to it. So you're going to be to it, as they say. With that being said, Stephen Gaither is going to make sure we do it right on the CIAA. And that is for the mid-major band and the mid-major games of the week. Now we're going to turn the page and we got the other one. We got A.D. Drew. You've seen him regular, but he's got a chance to show out his skills as he does it for the SIAC on the Division II level. And it's reason that we should do this, man. There's some big matchups this weekend. Can't get much bigger than this weekend other than next weekend when people are fighting two teams, four in this case in each conference in terms of four all together HBCU programs are fighting for a championship. But this weekend they fighting to get into it in some ways. With that being said, again, welcome to episode 453 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, from institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we call it just the HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, that threw me to the side. So I got the next two best players out there in the game, getting the business done around the country and HBCU sports specifically. Stephen Gaither, A.D. Drew, Professor Gaither, Professor Drew, welcome to the show. We're filming from our home studio, Center Signal Live, the Case-Way Short 30 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer. That's multi-Hall of Fame, I should say, Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Wait a minute. Yes, you see me in the hotel. I am traveling. I'm here in the beautiful city of New Orleans. I've already tasted some food. I've got my etouffee, some good gumbo. I'm having it like I'm supposed to have it. And I'm going to go check it out this night, too, before I have to get back to Texas for Prairie View's homecoming. But I'm at the North American Society of the Sociology of Sports, doing my research side, my academic duties, as I'm supposed to do, make sure I keep up with it. That's enough about me. Let me go to you, A.D. Drew. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. We got this D2 football takeover going on the Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So all y'all SWAC and MEAC fans might be kicked to the curb for a good portion of this show with me and Steve on this show. And happy birthday to my brother Steve. Steve, you're getting older when you actually work on your birthday and it doesn't bother you that you're working on your birthday. As you get closer to 40, then you are to 30 now.
Yeah. I mean, it's work, but it isn't work. So it's all good.
But
it's just a pleasure to be here. So
just
yeah.
15 years ago, you would be nowhere near any type of electronic equipment probably on your birthday. You probably at some club, you probably got something in your hand, you probably out just kicking it and everything. Now you at the crib, man, or in the studio. That's maturity, my brother. That's maturity.
I've been boring a lot longer than that. Actually, probably before my time. So, but I appreciate. I'm glad that you think so. At least that image I'm projecting is good. So there we go.
Man, 80 Drew called you old in a nice way. I hate what he called me if he calling you old. Lord Jesus, let's get on to him.
Hey, we was walking the halls of high school doing at the same era, Dr. Cavil. So whatever I say about you, I'm saying about myself. You just happened to finish a year before I did.
That's right. That's good to know. With that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Let's get it on, because after this, man, I got to go catch me a flight. Give me some good food before I get out of here, and then I head back to Texas. It's on, baby. It's on. It's Prairie View homecoming. Y'all just don't know.
Like there's not more good food waiting for you, but go ahead. But it's still waiting for you.
I just ain't that out there. AD Drew, what news of the day that you got in the HBCU landscape? What's on your mind?
Let's go ahead and get it out the way. This is our mandatory SWAC reference for the show. So let's go ahead and get it out the way. And the SWAC gets bumped by MLS, and specifically the Texas Southern home football game against Alcorn, originally scheduled for Veterans Day, November 11th at Shell Energy Stadium, has been bumped to Sunday, November 12th at 2 p.m. The game will likely have SWAC West implications, as the Braves are currently in a first-place tie in the division with Southern and 5-3 overall, 4-1 in the conference. And we know that tie will be broken this weekend as those two go head-to-head. Due to the scheduling of the MLS soccer playoffs, which has the Houston Dynamo hosted a potential home game on November 11th. Both parties decided it was in their best interest to shift the contest back one day, the school said in a statement. Texas Southern has played at Shell Energy Stadium since 2012. Here's also something interesting to think about down the line after this game, Dr. Cavil. They play Jackson State that following Saturday. So they'll be going into Jackson State on a short week, albeit one day, still rival game, short week, and it could have potential division conference standings as far as possibly getting in and possibly getting out. So there may be some further ramifications from the game being bumped from Saturday to Sunday for Alcorn. As you move down the line, just something to keep in mind as a side note.
Yeah, great point. And at this point, theoretically, with FAMU still having two games to play, obviously they wrapped up the Eastern Division, but home field advantage for the SWAC championship game is still on the line. And so, depending on how that plays out, that game, not only in terms of you talking about in Western Division, it could also be determined who has home field advantage. So a couple of things are still on the line. Obviously, we got a lot of weeks to play it out. And the first thing is this big game this Saturday. We'll get more into that in the second half of the show. With that being said, Stephen Gaither, HBCU Sports News, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so we got the schools are announced for the inaugural Bridgestone HBCU Invitational from the PGA Tour. So the PGA Tour and Bridgestone Americas have unveiled the field for their invitationals, a 54-hole team and individual stroke play. You guys who are real golfers have to tell me what that means. It sounds like a lot. But
we're missing our
Charles at when you need him.
Charles Bishop. But we'll catch him on the other side. So you did right.
Yeah,
You played it off.
I'm woefully ignorant there. But the schools that'll be there: Alabama State, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, Chicago State, North Carolina Central, Tennessee State, Florida A&M, Morehouse College, Miles College, Southern University, and Prairie View. See, we got the statement from the PGA Tour Vice President, Kenyatta Ramsey. Nice first name, right?
Yeah, I love
excited
it.
to welcome these outstanding programs and their players to the Bridgestone HBCU Invitational. We hope to motivate and inspire the next generation of golfers from diverse backgrounds. This is what Ramsey said. The PGA Tour appreciates the support of Bridgestone as we aim to provide these players with an elevated platform to showcase their skills, and we look forward to seeing an incredible week of competition. So it's going to be so many benefits to the golf programs that are going to be there. Obviously HBCU golf continues to rise, continue to make connections with the PGA Tour and so many other things. So another great chance for our athletes to get out and make some connections and potentially be the next big star there.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Eddie Drew, you got some more news and notes that you want to get out there?
Yeah, let's get this BAC reference out the way. But let's take it away from the gridiron. Let's take it to the ice, as in ice skating.
Wow.
Howard is forming an ice skating team per a report by the U.S. Figure Skating. The team was founded by Maya James and Cheyenne Walker, two Howard students who have been involved with the sport since they were children. The duo made the choice of attending Howard instead of other institutions that already had ice skating program. But Walker and James set out to form an ice skating team and become the first HBCU to field the sport. Here's the irony. They didn't even know each other when they stepped into the Mecca. But they conspired together and worked to form the team. After months of planning, the team was finally able to host their first practice on October 7th. But comes with challenges, Dr. Cavil. The only rink in D.C. is closed for construction. And we talking college students. Everybody don't have a car, Dr. Cavil.
Right.
So they had to coordinate a bus to pick them up at 5 a.m., take them to a skating rink in Maryland, 30 miles away. And 30 miles in D.C. traffic is not 30 miles in the country. I just want y'all to know that if y'all have never been to D.C. and in D.C. traffic. So, I think this is great that, 2 years after the formation of the gymnastics teams at Fisk and Talladega, we've got hockey coming to Tennessee State. All these non-traditional sports that we're used to seeing on HBCU campuses really shows the diversity of students who not only want an HBCU education, but also want to participate in things that have been their passion since probably 3, 4, 5-year-old for these particular students. So anything that we could do to diversify our population, increase opportunities for students and student athletes, AD Drew is on board with it.
I agree with you. Great points made there on all sides of that. DC traffic, I agree with you. Houston traffic doesn't play second fiddle to none, but you're right, man. It's a thing of beauty unless you.
I'll raise the Atlanta traffic.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Hey, Stephen Gaither, excuse me.
Yes.
Check this out. I know you get a kick out of this one. North Carolina A&T, and y'all put this out there so you've seen it. North Carolina A&T band warns alumni GHOE access changes for homecoming. And I was telling somebody this is a big thing for folks that hadn't really been connected with HBCU bands. They have been doing this across the world for decades, where they would formation with the band and they would get into classics and different things. And over the years, it's been a little more challenging, but I guess on the home field, particularly for homecoming, is big deal. And they was like, no more, don't do that. No free hookups. And they even told them, we don't have any room in the band hall. Just stay out, get out. I was like,
Yeah, It's and I guess we do have to talk about, as Josh calls them, that school down the highway, because they also are that school down the highway to us folks over in Winston-Salem as well. It's yeah, and so I did learn that this has supposedly been the procedure, but clearly hasn't been enforced to the level that they're looking to enforce it now. Actually, during the Aggie Eagle Football Classic, there's been a concerted effort. Let's say that North Carolina A&T, like a lot of HBCUs, for sure here in the East Coast, have a track around it, right? So there's a track, a world-class track actually around it. And so for football, actually at Winston-Salem State, we have a racetrack around ours. So, but this is common in this part of the country. So that puts there are usually a lot of bodies, besides the football team and the band. There's usually a lot of bodies on the sidelines on a regular game. Homecoming is just OD past that. So, they are making it clear that you can't enter in with the band. The alumni know to come out there and do their thing. And they go viral every couple of years with this. So it's a really big thing. They're also telling people, hey, don't stop by the band room, just because they're talking about their numbers are so large that they can't allow everybody to do that. So there's been some pushback on this, and everybody, of course, the folks want to say, oh, well, this has been the policy. It's been the policy. Well, clearly, it's out there for a reason, because they know it's coming. So North Carolina A&T, they got on their number one band according to ESPN and their rankings. We'll see where they're ranking yours a little bit later. But number one band in Division I, so obviously a lot of energy around there. But of course, they're only the second number one band, because Winston-Salem State is also number one.
No doubt, I like that little stick there. More music, more problems. More money, more problems. I guess they say it. With that being said, we'll take our first break, come back on the other side, and we'll get just into that. We'll give you our mid-major rankings this week and see what these two gentlemen think about the mid-major HBCU Marching Sport rankings, talking about the bands. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this first break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have Professor Drew, Professor Gaither. As we get into it this week, did want to give an update. As you know, this morning, Grambling defeated Alabama A&M in the women's SWAC tournament that is going on now in Prairie View. give you an update there. And so we'll continue to see what it looks like and see who's going to lift up the trophy in the SWAC women's soccer tournament down there at Prairie View, Texas. With that being said, let's get into the mid-major marching sports. No one dropped out this week. There were some changes going in. Talladega, Kentucky State, Fayetteville State receiving votes. But let's get in the top 7. Number 7 we got coming in this week is none other than the Benedict Tigers. They continue to hang on to that 7th spot. They dropped last week, but they remain at 7 this week. 1 contest. A couple of teams behind them are getting into the mix after this week. I would be remiss to say whether they're able to stay in the band. They need the fact that the Benedict Tigers, the football team, are probably going to play the extra game there in the the SIAC championship, which maybe give them some room to finally have another contest. But we'll have to see. Bringing us to number 6. At number 6, we have none other than the Albany State Golden Rams Marching Show Band. Are now 2-0 as they continue to push through and get things done. 124 points. They move up a spot from previously being 6 and actually remain in that 6th spot this week after being 7 last weekend as they continue to do their thing. At number 5 this week, none other than the Virginia State Trojans. They do improve to 3-1, 3-0. They had a contest the past week that we got in there as they continue to roll 130 points, and they remain in that spot at number 5 as they continue to move forward. At number 4 this week, we have none other than Clark Atlanta, the mighty Marching Panthers Band, 2-0, 1-0, slowly getting it done, staying in that spot. Not a lot of changes there. At number 3, I think we see our first change of the week, and none other than the Langston Marching Pride. They drop another spot this week. They're 3-0 overall in the season, 2-0 in the conference race. They do hold on to 1 first-place vote, 152 points, as they drop 2 of those first-place votes this week. And they move down peg to number 3. Bring us to number 2. Number 2 this week is none other than Winston-Salem State, the Red Sea of Sound. You got the fighting Gaithers, now you got the marching Gaithers as well. 4-1 on the season, 4-0. 2 first-place votes. They slide up and they get all the way up and get 2 first-place votes, seriously speaking there. And they move up a slot where they were previously ranked 3 with 161 points. So Winston-Salem State is getting it done. As you know, last week as announced, they actually were number 1 in the HBCU Marching Sport. As you close down, they got one more announcement coming forward, and we'll see, can they hold on to that and represent in Atlanta the Friday before the celebration vote. Should be fascinating. Bring us to number 1, Miles Purple Marching Machine for the 2nd week in a row. They stay in the number 1 spot. They are at 4-1, 3-0. 5 first-place votes as they continue to get done. Fascinating there. With that being said, I'm going to go to you first, Stephen Gaither. What are your thoughts in terms of the top 7 for the marching sport in week number 9?
Well, I mean, I think, again, the same 7 teams. As you guys always say, getting on the road, I know is important on your poll. So it's going to be interesting this week. There's a lot of big matchups. It's a rivalry weekend in both the CIAA and the SIAC. So you hope to see some of those. Drew, I have a request. I need for your Marching Crimson Pipers to make that trip to Fairfield, Alabama, to take down Miles College, so they can be handed an L. Because the Red Sea of Sound, man, they're doing it. They're getting it done. They're going to be in Atlanta with me, and I don't know about the rules for cheering for a band. I don't know for sports journalists for cheering for a band, but yeah. So we need to make that happen. Now, seriously, Dr. Magruder and his folks, they've been hitting the road as WSSU usually does. Went to North Carolina Central. I know y'all handed them an L there. That must be the D1 bias. There's no way the Sound Machine beat them. I just know. And that's no disrespect to the Sound Machine, but anyway, but since then they have they hit the road. They went last week. Thank God, for the band and the powerhouse cheerleaders. We won 2 out of the 3. So finally lost to John C. Smith. So at least we'll never lose to them in band. And then this week, Fayetteville State another school that thinks that they're our rival at Winston-Salem State. So we'll be there as well. So I look for them to pick up one more victory, and that'll be it for them during the marching season. Well, at least for the football team, that's a dead end. But yeah. So I'm excited about the poll. Also, Benedict will get a chance to go up probably against Allen. I got a chance to listen to Allen last week. I went to that game. Something told me not to go to Charlotte. I'm glad I listened to my intuition. And, so I called Allen versus Edward Waters, a great SIAC battle of two up-and-coming bands and two programs. So I'm really excited to see how this list evolves over the next couple of weeks with championships and folks falling out.
Good stuff, Gabe. Broke that down real nice. Let's go to 80 Drew and see his thoughts in the top 7 poll rankings Marching Sport in week number 9.
Well, Steve, I agree with you on that D1 versus D2 bias because Miles' only loss is to a Division I team also, and I believe that was to Albany State,
Alabama State, yeah.
Alabama State, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
So, your number one in the D2 polls, your only loss is to an FCS program, whether you lost to them legitimately or whether it's perceived bias. I'm trying to help you out with your theory, bro. I'm trying to help you out with your theory. Just roll with me. Roll with me on this one. But Dr. Cavil.
Yes.
Your posters obviously did not watch the Clark Tuskegee matchup last week. Because if they did, Clark would have one of these on them right now. One of these.
They don't have enough L's already.
Damn it, I want one on the band too. But they obviously did not watch that matchup last week. And if they missed it, they could go back and watch it on the Black College Sports Network. Because
the good thing about these poll rankings, they will be updated.
Show the entire halftime for both teams. So
nice.
I need y'all to go back and reevaluate that. Other than that, Dr. Cavil, I think everything is good. And speaking of bands, if you did not happen to catch this past Sunday's BCSN SportsWrap, where we had the chairs of the Band of the Year committee on, and I know Steve works closely with them as far as getting that information out. They really broke down a lot of what goes into the band rankings, what is their mindset. We only got through about 3 of the 5 categories as they were trying to explain it, because you could tell when somebody is passionate about their craft and you don't cut them off. The only problem was the segment ran a lot longer than than our allotted time, so we missed getting into 2 of the categories. So we're gonna get them back on so we can talk about those other 2 categories. And there were so many questions in the chat, Dr. Cavil, we just could not get into it. And the crazy thing, we did not have a chance to really put out there that we were going to have them on, because we didn't get the confirmation until late Sunday afternoon that they were going to actually come on. We have been trying to set it up. So, Steve, I'll let you know when the next one comes up so that you guys can watch it. I know you guys have written up stuff about some of those interviews that we've done on the BCSN Sports Wrap, but it's great, and I'm loving seeing the support of the bands. The bands are a lot more exciting. It's easy to cheer for your band when your team is over than your football team when it's over. I'll just leave it right there.
Good stuff. And kudos to you and Brian. I thought y'all did an excellent job with the interviews. Obviously, Stephen Gaither putting it out there with HBCU Gameday. And then you coming up and giving an interview that got a little more in-depth about it. For those that hadn't seen it, make sure you go back and check out this past Sunday's show. Any of them, most of them are always good, but particularly this one with that interview. I thought a lot of good stuff. And appreciate you for getting Brian to get in there and get that last question in there. I thought the response was golden to get an understanding. And we got a little piece of nugget in history in terms of the 5th quarter.
Yeah, find out how the 5th quarter got started.
So go check it out for our followers and listen out the good stuff. And with that, we'll come back on the other side and we'll get into the mid-major games of the week. We got some big ones. That's why we got these two superstars here. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break because they're going to give you the do's and the don'ts of what might take place this Saturday. Should be good.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Test the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have A.D. Drew and Stephen Gaither giving us their insight in terms of some of these major games of the week at the mid-major level. Obviously, we have a SWAC contest, Mississippi Valley State. Bethune-Cookman should be intriguing. We'll keep you updated there. Make sure you stick with us. Put one of your screens over there. Put our volume up, theirs down until we get 30 minutes into it, and we'll give you those updates as we get going. With that being said, let's get in the first one. We're going to give our guests the power on this one. CIAA matchup. Official game of the week, I'm calling it. Mid-major game of the week for the CIAA. Richmond, Virginia. Holyfield, L. Douglas Wilder Classic. CIAA. High noon, HBCU Go game. Top 3 matchup. Number 3, the Virginia State Trojans coming in with a record of 8-1 and 6-1 in the conference race. But guess what? Number 2, the Virginia Union Panthers are also 8-1 on the season with an identical record in conference play as well. 6-1. Guess what? The Northern Division is on the line. Whoever wins this goes to the championship. The other one will be waiting hands and needles to see if maybe they can get an outside bid. They don't play that extra game that A.D. Drew always talks about, so that's a challenge. But with that being said, it'll be fascinating. Last year, though, you saw it happen. CIAA represented with 2 teams. We'll see what takes place this year. Stephen Gaither, what do you think about this matchup? This should be a good one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a exciting matchup at historic Hovey Stadium, the second oldest continuously used football stadium in college football. I think it was built in 1903, 1906. So, you know, it's this is a game that we've been waiting for, not only all year, but probably about a year and a half. This time last year, we thought that this might be the game that would have decided the CIAA. Obviously, Bowie State was in the mix at that time, but Bowie State came and kind of crashed that party with the thrashing of the Trojans on their homecoming. But this year, Virginia State in the second year under Dr. Henry Frazier III, they've come out strong and look to be, the clubhouse leader early on. But they got knocked on their heels by a Elizabeth City State team that, they're scrappy, they're hungry. And they hadn't beaten them in 10 years, and their coach came in and they had a statement win. Virginia State was able to bounce back last week and in a big way, scored 75 points on Lincoln and treating Lincoln like the old Lincoln. But you look over at Virginia Union; they were our number one for D2 coming into the season, and early in the season didn't quite look like it. You looked at they had an okay game against Morehouse. They beat Shaw, but Jada Byers got hurt. You're thinking what's going to go on in the next game. They go to Livingstone and barely leave Rowan County with the win, and then they go and they lose to. They go and lose to Fayetteville State, and you're like, what's going on? But since that loss, they've been lights out. Whether no matter who's been out there running back, whether it's Jada Byers or Rashard, I think his last name is Jackson. They got a couple backs, man. I think any one of the three of us could get behind that offensive line at Virginia Union right now and rush for 100 yards plus. That's how great they've been playing. They've been knocking folks head over heels, and so they come in as the hotter team, I would say, for sure, the way that they've been playing. But I look for this to be a slugfest. Both teams are built around the trenches. Coach Frazier told me at the beginning of the season, the CIAA championship, he had about 30 or so grad students. So he got grown men so they could do grown men things. And they've been doing that a lot all year. But they're going to come up against another group of grown men, Virginia Union, who at one point they were allowing just 1 yard per carry on the season. That's how the teams were averaging and only getting 30 yards per carry, just a smashing run defense. So I think it's going to come down to the passing game for both teams. I think Virginia State, if their passing game, can keep Virginia Union at bay from that mighty rushing defense. And then for Virginia Union, there's going to come a point, just like it did last year in the playoffs, where that passing, they can't hide behind the running game. They have to have a viable passing game. And so it's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be this week or not. But a lot of excitement there in the 804. I'm going to be taking a trip up there. So I'm looking forward to that matchup between these two teams. It's what we've been waiting on.
Good stuff there. Let's go to you, AD Drew. Stephen and Gaither is going to be doing the game, so we won't ask for outcome. AD Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Well, Steve pretty much boiled all the meat off the bone with that analysis of this game right there. Not a whole lot to add except for the fact, kind of reemphasize what Steve said. This is the matchup that everyone thought we were going to see probably the last 3-4 years. And for some reason, one or the other has failed in their mission to make this basically the semifinal game for the Northern Division. This year, we got it. Virginia Union lost to Fayetteville State in a monsoon. They would love to have the opportunity to avenge that loss. I don't know what the hell happened to Virginia State on their loss, but getting to that conference championship game would help them avenge that. Here's something else that's key. Both of these teams are sitting just outside of the top 10 in the regional rankings when you look at the numbers that they use to make these rankings. So obviously the winner is going to have a good opportunity to vault their way into the top 10, depending on what happens in front of them. But for the loser, they still have a strong case to get into the D2 playoffs. And you know what I would love to see, Dr. Cavil? I want to see the loser of that game in an 11th game. Because of what happened in the SIAC last week, I think that the potential of a CIAA SIAC elimination game as an 11th game becomes even more of a reality should that happen. But we'll have to wait and see.
If I can interject, because I know we got to get to the next game, it's going to be the monkey, and I definitely agree with you. I made some calls earlier this week. I made some calls to some folks and I asked them about that possibility of 11th game. Folks who were on the outside, maybe on the outside looking in, Now, the one cat, normally I think this would be a great idea, and I think at the beginning of the year, SIAC Commissioner Dr. Holloman talked about the possibility of this. But the interesting thing is now that we've got this bowl game, I talked to a coach that said, well, for them, now that the bowl game may be an option, they may take their chances to see if they're going to be chosen for the bowl game instead of trying for the playoffs. So, we have that debate often in the FCS, but that's another option as well. It's going to be, interesting. Again, this is the first year of this bowl, so we'll see what happens. But that's something else is on the table too. That kind of monkey rich. So we'll see about that.
Can I piggyback off that quickly? Just quickly. Obviously, the leading candidate to go to that bowl game, it would be the loser of the CIAA championship game. I think that would be the first choice for the people who are putting that bowl game together, because the loser of the CIAA championship game is probably not going to get into the Division II playoffs. So, and I know you talked to some people, so I think it would be more beneficial, especially in the CIAA's case, to find a way to play that 11th game to see if they could get that second team in. SIAC, it's probably going to be either Tuskegee or Edward Waters that winds up in that bowl game. Tuskegee cannot go to the playoffs because of the Turkey Day Classic. Edward Waters is not eligible for the D2 playoffs yet, as they're finishing their final year of transition, and geographically they make sense. And don't sleep on Allen, who would be probably the most competitive team of the three in that bowl game. So I'm just put some stuff out there as food for thought.
Oh, good stuff in terms of getting that information. Like I said, I brought the gurus in, so it's important that we share that. And you got the added dimension of the bowl game, which is important. So I'm glad you shared that and reminded everybody. With that, let's transition. We're going to go to the SIAC. We're going to go to Alabama, Fairfield, Alabama, if you would. Charles Sloan Stadium, top 10 matchup. We got number 6, Tuskegee Golden Tigers, at number 8, Miles Golden Bears. Tuskegee comes in at 7-2 and 6-1, and Miles comes in at 6-3, 5-2. A lot on the line in this matchup. There's so much out there and so many teams in the hunt for that second spot, maybe the number 1 spot as well. We won't get into all that details and have you watch and play it out. It's fascinating. With that being said, I'm going to stay with you, Drew. Going into Alabama, you've been talking about this matchup for a while. Tuskegee has to go on the road. Can they get it done against the Miles Golden Bears? A couple of weeks ago, people were looking at the Miles Golden Bears, big muscles all up. But after that loss last week, maybe people are thinking a little different. With that being said, how are you thinking?
Well, let's look at this. You got a Miles who lost their starting quarterback in the first series of the game last week against Albany State, and there's always a reason why your number 1 is your number 1 and your number 2 is your number 2. No disrespect to Cameron Ivory, but he's shown to be a good change of pace quarterback. This time, we're given the opportunity to pretty much take every snap in the game, save for about 4 snaps in that ball game. The results were not as good as they needed to be. So you've got a wounded Miles team. They were missing a couple people in the defensive secondary, and boy, did it show against Albany State, because I don't think Albany State has thrown the ball like that since pre-Gabe. Since pre-Gabe Giardina was at Albany State. But you've got a Tuskegee team who all they do is figure out a way to win. I don't know what it is with Tuskegee. Because you talk to a Golden Tiger. Tuskegee has not impressed me this year with the ranking, and on every poll that I vote on, I have voted accordingly. I have not voted as a Tuskegee alum. I voted on what I've seen on the field. Offensively, they have been too inconsistent for my liking. So what does that probably mean, Dr. Cavil? We're probably going to have a 58-40 game because I'm talking about how poor these offenses have performed over the last couple of weeks. But it's just something about struggling to win against Clark and not getting your first touchdown to like 6-7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter against Clark scares the crap out of me. So obviously you know who my rooting interest for, but also I'm rooting for chaos. I want Miles to beat Tuskegee so everybody can get the Tylenol and the calculator and try to figure out who's in. Because I'm also rooting for Albany State to beat Fort Valley. So not only do you need a Tylenol, you need an extra strength Tylenol PM to figure this stuff out.
How did I know that AD Drew wanted chaos? It sounds a lot like Stephen Gaither as well. With that being said, what are your thoughts on this matchup? Are you rooting for chaos, or you think it's not going to happen in this particular game?
I was listening to AD talk about Tuskegee and how they won, and I could have swore he could have just inserted Fayetteville State for them. But nevertheless, I think for sure, sometimes it is better to be lucky than good, and Miles' misfortune is probably going to be Tuskegee's. Is probably going to give Tuskegee a big leg up. Whenever you lose a quarterback of that caliber this early, an important game like this late in the season, it's never good. Unless they find that there's a Rudy in Fairfield that we don't know about. We talk about what wounded dogs do. Wounded bears, they want to fight, but I don't know. I think they're gonna be too stuffed with porridge. I got Tuskegee winning this one on the road. So
he said too stuffed with porridge. Let's go into the number 1 ranked team. AD Drew has talked about this potential matchup all year long, and it's come true. It is a top 5 matchup. In Columbia, South Carolina, Charles W. Johnson Stadium, 4:00 p.m. Central Time. You got a matchup at number 1 Benedict Tigers, 9-0, undefeated, putting their undefeated season on the line, 7-0, and number 4 Allen Yellow Jackets, 7-2 and 5-2. Quietly speaking, people hadn't really thought about it, but there are some ways that this thing could fly out. Benedict may be slightly in trouble with the loss here. Can Allen Yellow Jackets put it on them and really get chaos going in the SIAC with all the tie breaks and things of that nature? It'd be fun. Or will the Benedict Tigers do what they've done all season long and just win, stay undefeated through the regular season as they go into a conference championship game? I'm sticking with you, Stephen Gaither. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup between the number 1 Tigers versus the number 4 Yellow Jackets?
So, had a chance to see both these guys play in person. Allen last week, and then a couple weeks ago, I saw Benedict just completely mop the floor with Fort Valley State. Both very impressive schools, programs. I don't like the size differential on Allen, but they also say that you can't measure heart, and I have taken a liking to Allen University. Especially after last week, I got a chance to see Coach Keaton, and big win for that program. They hoisted the AME Cup, over Edward Waters. There was no comeback to be had. The comeback kids went home sad, and so it's hard, man. The heart of Allen, man, it makes me real. Everything says Benedict. Everything says Benedict. They've been in big games before. They know how to clinch. They've done it before. But I think Allen, I'm going to say Allen's going to win this game. I don't know. Maybe it's a little guy thing. I got Allen.
A little chaos too. I like that. Go ahead, Steve.
So that's my chaos bomb. And we'll see how it goes. But again, both of these squads have really come in and really punched above their weight class, and so I'm really excited to see this matchup.
AD Drew, what are your thoughts? Bonus game, number 1 Benedict Tigers versus number 4 Allen Yellow Jackets. You said watch out for it. Are you going on the limb, going with Steven, and saying the Yellow Jackets going to find a way to upset the world?
Let's think about this. Benedict has won 21 regular season games in a row.
Wow.
21 regular season games in a row. They are playing for something that has not been done since Stephen Gaither's Winston-Salem State teams in the early teens. That's 2 consecutive undefeated regular seasons. That's what's on the line for Benedict. I'm sorry, I had to bring up I had to bring up those bad memories, Steve. But
I love it.
But here's the thing. You have the top quarterback in the SIAC going up against the top defense in the SIAC. If David Wright finds a way to keep this game close or win this game, chalk him up for Conference Player of the Year in the SIAC. That no one else will have a resume like his when it comes to Conference Player of the Year. The question is, which Allen's defense is going to show up? Because we know what's going to show up in purple and gold. But which defense is going to show up in blue? Because you can't afford to give up 28 points to Benedict and try to outscore them. That is not going to happen. And as much as I want the chaos with a Benedict loss, I also, my heart really wants to see the perfection of Benedict and a number 1 seed in the region for the Benedict Tigers. So I am going to stick with the Tigers. It's kind of like Fayetteville State in the South. Until somebody shows me that they can beat Fayetteville State, I have to pick Fayetteville State in the CIAA South. Until somebody shows me that they could beat Benedict in the SIAC, I will continue to pick Benedict in the SIAC until somebody shows me that they can beat him.
You got Gaither wiping his eyes, talking about CIAA South. You find a way to put it all in the Fayetteville State. You run this Winston-Salem State. He just memories. With that,
I'm trying to bring up a good memory, Steve.
Yeah, you did. Let's take the second to last break. Come back on the other side, get the major poll rankings out, and finish up with some major division games of the week. Stick with us. Be right back after this break.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
If you
press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into top rankings, top 7. We did have one major division marching sport program in week 9 that fell out of the top 7. I think some of those Tennessee State fans, like their Eddie George, Coach George is upset with them attending the game. Some of them might be a little upset with me in terms of the band rankings. But you got to participate. You got to have the matchups. They did it early. They had the tough loss to Norfolk State, and ultimately it cost them not being able to match up with HBCU this weekend, so they dropped out of the top 7. Let's see who the top 7 is. Number 7 this week, a new one in the ranking. Grambling State Tigers. As we look at the marching band of the world famous bands, they get in at number 7. They get it done as they do it at 4-1, 1-0, taking out previously ranked number 7 Tennessee State this week. At number 6, you have none other than Texas Southern, around the Ocean of Soul. They stay at number 6, but they take a loss. They had a tough matchup against Southern. Southern got it done. Not only did they give the heartbreak to the Tigers coming from behind, getting that win when it looked like the Tigers get it done, they also gave it to the Ocean of Soul. Now, that game was just as close as the other one. It wasn't a comeback. in terms of the matchup, but boy, was it close. Texas Southern Ocean of Soul falls to 3-1, 2-1 on the season as they continue to get it done. At number 5 this week, some changes here as well. Mississippi Valley State, the Delta Devils, they continue to do the thing with the mean green marching machine. They fall as well to Alcorn State, 4-1, their first loss, second loss of the season as they continue to move around. It's tough this week. Lose to Jackson State, and then they lose also to Alcorn. So that run of perfection has ended. We'll see what they do there. Bring us to number 4 this week, none other than Bethune-Cookman, the Marching Wildcats. They stay undefeated, but they keep one first place vote, but they fall a spot to number 4 this week. They were previously ranked 3, didn't have a contest, and doesn't look like the Valley has taken their team to Bethune-Cookman, so they won't have a matchup this week as we're looking at what's going on there. That game is still 0-0 as they play in the first quarter. Bringing us to number 3 in terms of that matchup here, Southern, the human jukebox. They had a big matchup, as I said, with Ocean of Soul. They get it done. They proven 5-1, 3-1, hadn't had a marching contest in a while. One first place votes, 168 points, and they move up a spot to number 3. Bringing us to number 2 this week, as you see, is none other than Jackson State, Sonic Boom of the South. They continue to get it done and run it as they are 5-1 on the season, 4-0, as they continue to make moves and get it done. One first place vote as they're running. At number 1, remaining number 1 as they continue to get it done, Norfolk State, the Spartans. They improved 6-0, 2-0 in the conference, 7 first place votes. They put the team on the road. Not only did they go, obviously, to Tennessee State for their homecoming, they got on the road, Howard's homecoming, and then they get it done at home as well. So a lot of contests, as you see in the MEAC. Credit to the MEAC. They've sent teams on Thursday night games, Morgan State. The bands were out there. North Carolina Central got on the road. So a lot of credit for these Thursday night games as the band has gotten the action. And then you had a couple of Saturday contests where the bands of the MEAC have hit the road. Credit to them. But with that said, number 1 ranking this week is Norfolk State. Spartan Legion remains number 1. In week number 9, 80 Drew, what are your thoughts on the marching sport for the major division this week?
Look, if this was SWAC, MEAC challenge, Norfolk would definitely be the number 1 band, always in the MEAC. They are the class of the MEAC when it comes to the bands, hands down. Especially with A&T no longer in the MEAC. But
it could say it's because Winston-Salem State is not in the MEAC no more either.
You don't want their problem.
We're coming.
It's coming. Uh-oh. You heard it here. But and Dr. Cavil, you said something about Tennessee State not having a matchup last week. Just talk about the elephant in the room. Tennessee State has no more matchups this season, Dr. Cavil.
Right.
So they're gonna and continue to slide down. Shout out to Valley for once again being that bright light in a dismal season with their band. But let's be real, Dr. Cavil, the big matchup of all those teams all those bands you've just mentioned is going to be the Bayou Classic now. I think of all the matchups that are left this season, we know we got Alcorn, Jackson, Fam, Bethune, but I think the one that everybody is going to watch, 70,000 people, 1 million eyes on the screen, is going to be the Bayou Classic in New Orleans the Saturday after Thanksgiving, Dr. Cavil. That's all everybody wants to see.
Great points. With that, Stephen, what are your thoughts on the marching sport in week number 9? Top 7.
Well, I would also I would like to show love to a band that's not on the top 7 there, but I got a chance to listen to them last week. The South Carolina State Marching 101 had the video. It's gone pretty viral and needed at the end of the game. South Carolina State took it on the chin, but they had that 5th quarter. It was after 11 o'clock at night, a long game. I had to, they were down 21-0. I was debating whether or not when I was going to get my fish plate. I made my move in the fourth quarter, got my fish plate, secured that. And then after I got into the press box, I heard one of my favorite songs being played, and I just had to go outside and record it. So that's Sweet Love by Anita Baker.
Nice.
I was only a couple months old when it came out. So I could feel your birthday. So I posted the video, and Anita retweeted it. So I'm going to see her pretty soon. Anyway, beyond that, they also got, I would love to see if they match up with Norfolk State this weekend, number 1 in your poll. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to let them off the leash after last week after what happened up there in Norfolk. Maybe at least not the flagpoles. But anyway.
Good point.
Interesting matchup if they were to face off.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on. That was an unfortunate incident, but you're right. They'll be lucky if they get a chance to continue to move forward with a lot of action. With that said, before we go to this last break, we'll come back on the other side, talk about the Marching Sports 40-plus yard touchdown pass for Bethune-Cookman, and they go up in the contest 7-0, just under 8 minutes left in the first quarter. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this last break. We'll talk about the major division games of the week, MEAC and SWAC. Stick with us. Be right back after this last break.
Think all pads are exactly the same? Think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Mike Watson, Charles Bishop about. So we got Professor Drew, Professor Gaither. Let's get into the major division. First one into the MEAC. This is an interesting matchup for me. It's the game of the week. It has a lot more importance next week and beyond than it does this week, if you would, in a weird kind of way. Orangeburg, South Carolina, all of us see Dawson Stadium. It's homecoming for the Bulldogs. Obviously, we heard the news yesterday in terms of the AD resigning. So that's one thing on the plate. But the other thing is at 2:30 on ESPN Plus, if you would, and that's 2:30 Central Time, you have number 10 Howard Bison, 4-4 on the season, 2-0. Why is that important? Well, they're still in the race. Central, the number 1 ranked team that we released this week, is also 2-0. Both of them win this week. You set up a winner-take-all 3-0 type matchup. And obviously with 5 playoff games in Central and the MEAC, you lose one, particularly after 3 games of play, it's really tough to see if you can find a way out of that hole. On the other side, I have South Carolina State Bulldogs, 3-5, 1-1. My overall ranking index has a number 13. So there's not necessarily a lot of difference between these two in terms of my overall power index, if you would. More importantly, you see Bulldogs' overall record is 3-5, 1-1 in the conference race. Maybe out of that, can they find this and maybe try to stick away and see if something happens to Central to lose 2? Maybe we shall see. But more importantly, they need these 3 last contests, which includes this one, to send Buddy Hugh out with a winning record as he retires. So a lot going on in different ways in this matchup. So I'm very intrigued about it. I'm going to go with you, Stephen Gaither. What's your thoughts in terms of this matchup? Can we get the upset by South Carolina State Bulldogs, or will Howard make the game of the week next week, meaning if Central gets it done as well, the big game of the week next week?
Well, I think Howard obviously, for them, this is a trap game. I mean, you had a trap game last week, but this is an even trappier game than that. This is the trap of traps. This is the house of mirrors because, they're coming against the South Carolina State. They got, I don't know if Bulldog tails are big enough to tuck anywhere, but they got their tails. They went back to Orangeburg with their tails between their legs. But I think, obviously Howard, they had the scrap up with Delaware State. Always a tough, chippy game. But, we look at everything that's going on in South Carolina State. Man, I would love that Howard North Carolina Central matchup to really mean something. And I mean, who's to say it won't? But I don't know. I just have this funny feeling somewhere down in here that South Carolina State is going to figure out how to win one for the Gipper. So Buddy Pugh will go out with his last homecoming on top. They will knock off Howard, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Should be fascinating. You're right. If I'm a Bison, I'm very nervous about what the Bulldogs are going to try to do for the homes. You're right. Eddie Drew, what are your thoughts on the matchup? Do you think Bison should be nervous, or you like no problem at all? They'll get it done.
Hell yeah, they should be nervous. And let's talk about the dynamic. It's only one way South Carolina State can get themselves back into the Celebration Bowl conversation. Have to beat Howard, and then hope Howard gets pissed off because they beat them, and then they beat Central. Now we've got it. Now we've got a 3-way tie, and we're gonna let the BAC do what the BAC do when it comes to breaking that 3-way tie. So everything is shaping up for South Carolina State to find a way to pull this off. I mean, you've got a Buddy Pugh leaving, you've got the turmoil in athletic administration, you got your tails handed to you last week, and that's usually something that pulls a team together and the glue that pulls them together. But I don't think so, Dr. Cavil. I really think Howard is going to get this done. Last thing on South Carolina State, I think South Carolina State tried to catch up with FAMU as far as number of athletic directors within a certain time span, because it's like we both just like soon as we change athletic director, they change athletic director. We change athletic director, they change athletic director. If you go back and look at it, it's always within about a year of each other that these two schools
they want to one up each other.
Something's going on with the athletic director. I hope we finally got ours right with Tiffany Dawn Sykes. And I hope that they get it right, because I know, just going off the top of my head, this is at least the third athletic director at South Carolina State in the last 4 years or so. You may know better than me, Steve, but I'm just going off the top of my head when I say that.
With that being said,
don't let your folks run Tiffany off.
Yeah, with that being said, let's get into the last game we got, the SWAC Major Division game. And it's a good one. It's a top 7 matchup. Both teams have one loss in the division race, Longmore, Mississippi, Sphinx Kasem Stadium. These matchups go back many moons, many years, oftentimes for championships. Last time they played of importance like this, just last year, went down to a final kick. A couple of years ago in Norman, obviously, this was back-to-back SWAC champions, and Alcorn got it done both years. Coaches changing a lot for these types of matchups. But you have number 7, the Southern Jaguars. They got off life support last week and found a way to get it done at home, including a 53-yard kick to tie the game and send it to overtime, and they get it done in overtime against the Tigers. So they improved to 5-3, 4-1, but now they're on the road at number 5. Alcorn State Braves at a 5-3, 4-1. Boy, this should be a good one. It's on ESPN Plus. Eddie Drew, what do you say about this top 7 matchup in week number 9?
Fayetteville State, Tuskegee, and Southern all are cooking in the same kitchen. They just find a way to win. It is not impressive. You can go and find holes in everything for all 3 of those teams, but when you look up, their record is what their record is, and they are always in contention for the championship in their division, their conference, or whatever it is. And Southern, just like those other teams, have not impressed me thus far this year. Now, who has impressed me is Alcorn. Yeah, we know they gave them one away against Grambling early in the season, but since then, Alcorn has impressed me. That especially who was that? I believe that was Alabama State. They played the week after Alcorn, and they fought in that one tooth and nail and was able to pull that victory out. Your quarterback is playing better. You've got your run game going. Your defense is looking good, and you at home. Give me the purple and gold of the Braves.
Good point. There's a lot of things to like about the Braves right now. It's hard to believe that you quietly have a team that's 4-1.
Plus
5-3. But hey,
Plus, that means the Braves will have a leg up and let my preseason prediction come closer to being true. I already got half of it right. I need Alcorn to be the other half because I predicted Alcorn FAMU back in July.
I see where you're going. Stephen Gaither, number 7 Jaguars on the road at number 5 Braves. It makes for a good one in the SWAC. It's for the Western Division at this point. What are your thoughts? You're on mute.
You're on mute.
I really like Southern University. I really do. But every year they find a way to let me down. But you know what? Not this year. And you know why? Because I no longer believe Luther Vandross make me a believer. I just cannot. I can't get hurt anymore. We're gonna go with Alcorn State. Not only this, and once Alcorn wins this and secures the West, I'm picking Alcorn State to meet North Carolina Central in the Celebration Bowl.
Oh, slow your roll, bro. Slow your roll.
They will beat Florida A&M. Yes,
slow
they're
your
gonna
roll.
come and beat FAMU. I just decided that like 2 minutes ago, and I'm sticking with it.
Man, he's playing for keepers.
I need you to roll your life back 3 minutes to reconsider that decision.
AD Drew is like, hold on, not so fast. I was with you for everything else. You got a little too beside yourself. Go ahead, Drew.
Wait, but you've been did you sip some of that birthday Kool-Aid while we was on the last break?
Before he came on the show. But that'll do it for us. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Hope you enjoyed 80 Drew, Stephen Gaither coming in here and give us some insight, particularly on the mid-major, like none other. With that being said, make sure you check us out on Sunday from Prairie View, as I'll be heading out after this to get down back to Houston so I can drive on down to Prairie View, get my homecoming and set it out. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Lil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time on Sundays. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on DrKenyattCavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Make sure you check out Stephen Gaither. You know about his work on HBCU Gameday, but he also does a show on HBCU Sports. Check him out on YouTube with his guests over there as they get down and get it. And then you obviously know to find Brian and AD on Sundays in regards to the SportsWrap. With that being said, dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. AD?
Of course.
Stephen?
Lecture.
Dismiss.
I would like.